I truly hope this helps. I don't. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I truly hope this helps. I don't do this necessarily to promote my business. I probably should spend more time promoting my business. But I truly hope these videos help you. If they do not, I understand why you don't watch them or why you'll watch one here that. But I really put these out to be a help to people, but they only have as much power as we are willing to agree on the material. They have no power in your life at all if you don't agree with the material. I listen to a lot of news. I spend time talking to a few people here and there, in particular lately on Skid Row, listening to people, listening to their stories on Skid Row. These are not all crazy people. These are I'm talking about degreed, accomplished, have worked with successful people, have done successful things on Skid Row. And if you're not familiar with Skid Row, it is the poor area, considered the poor area of Los Angeles with a massive community of homeless people. I've spent some time with homelessness myself, number one, but number two, here in Long Beach, California. These are not crazy. These are not all crazy people, as some people would like to think they are. Not even close. Not even close. I was one of them. Well, that doesn't help the argument, does it? But I really hope this helps you. Here's the reason why I do what I do, and the reason why I want you to consider this information. Most of your media, whether you're going to group meetings or whatever, they spend time telling you about other people and what they believe other people's issues are, positive or negative. So let me give you an example. I had to turn it off quickly. They'll talk about President Obama and then President Obama's history and then what and that's because of this and this and this and this, getting off into all these dynamics that may cause you to have certain thoughts, positive or negative. If you haven't figured it out yet, if you spend too much time focused in on someone else's positives and negatives, you don't have time to take responsibility for your own. So I discuss these principles, and if my religion is anything, save Jesus the Christ. But if my religion is anything, it's personal responsibility. Forget everybody else's stories, other than how does their testimony help you overcome your fears so that you can move yourself forward with your family and your team. And then you might say, well, I don't have a team. Do you have an accountant? Do you have a husband or a wife? Do you have a job? Do you have a boss? These are your team members. Are you a member of a church? They're supposed to be your team members. Are you a member of a society? Team members. Are you doing anything at all when you wake up in the morning? Team members. personal responsibility to engage with your team members. You're small, you want to be big. Are you willing to pay the price? Black man, white man, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Jewish, no one's keeping you down. Are you willing to pay the price? If someone gave you the answer, are you willing to believe it? Or are you going to question it before you even try it? If somebody brought you in to be a part of their circle, are you going to respect it? Are you going to engage? If somebody comes into your circle, are you going to respect them and engage them? Are you going to look up to them? Are you going to look down to them? Or are you going to look straight across? Whatever you do, it's personal responsibility to move yourself forward. I don't do this with any one person in mind. I do this because in my heart and in my mind, I believe God is asking me to do these things. Not because of you, not because of her, not because of him, not because of anything. I have to take personal responsibility to follow my spirit. So do you. So does everyone. If that's not the truth, what is? No one's stopping any of us from being successful. The only cabal is in your head. And your unwillingness to take the steps and trust God to bring you the solutions and you having faith. I think about the parable in the Bible, because some believe in the Bible, some don't. But I personally believe this parable because I believe that I've seen it play out many times. Oh my God, many times. It's the parable of the talents. God gives talents to many people. What most I don't believe pick up on. Some do, some don't. Some agree, some don't agree. Not only about the one that wasted the talent and the one that multiplied the talent, but the fact that there were three of them. That he gave talents to as the master. And sure, one buried the talent and two others multiplied the talent. But think of it a little bit differently. Just a little bit. You can look at it many different ways, and not one way of looking at it is wrong or right. Consider looking at it this way. The one that had 5 talents, multiplied it, 10 talents, ended up with another talent, had to take personal responsibility for an additional talent while taking responsibility for the five talents that had become 10 talents, which he now had to multiply again. The reason why he was able to do it is because he understood the system of operating that the master had taught him. And in my life, or in my thinking, I believe because he watched the master, and I take that. Now I'm going to jump, so jump with me, just this one time, just jump with me. I look at that talent example as an example of what Moses did, and then turning it over to Joshua. Just take that one jump with me this one time. Now Joshua had what Moses had never managed it himself. That's why God told him not to be afraid, but be of good courage. and be courageous. Two different things. Because he had the multiplied talents, which is the legacy, to take the people into Canaan. A lot of people don't want that responsibility, right? The Joshua responsibility, or the Moses responsibility, which is blazing a trail. It's okay to be happy where you are, because for Joshua, there's additional obedience and sacrifice for being a leader, a real leader. For Moses, there was additional obedience and sacrifice for being a leader, a real leader. The one in the middle that multiplied their talents with the 2 became 4, not that he wasn't as important in the story. He was just as important in the story. But just think about it like this. There's nothing wrong with being responsible for a less amount, some 30, some 60, some 100-fold return, and being a part of the congregation, a part of the crowd. I would love to go more into that, but I'm at 11 minutes right now, because then there's the king and the priest. Nothing wrong with being a king, nothing wrong with being a priest. Very few are kings and priests too, but there are people who can be both. Some people are not happy just being a king, they want to be a priest too. Some priests want to be kings, when some priests need to just stay priests. And some kings just need to stay kings. There's 3 positions. Jesus was both a king and a priest. Everybody's not made for that, but a lot of people want to be both. Everybody can't be both. Just be who you are. And once again, I hope this helps. Now, if it sounds crazy to you, maybe it's not crazy. Maybe you should just study to show yourself approved. Maybe you should consider it. Maybe. I think it's good stuff.